All right, so I forget what I was thinking about here, but I've been kind of getting into Buddhism here recently. Something I'd forgotten about for a while. I kind of stepped out of it and into Christianity, and now I'm coming back around into the Buddhist way of things, bringing Christianity and Buddhism together because that is one is Christianity is the spoiled brat child of God that got everything they wanted handed to them from God. Buddhism is the outcast child that had to struggle their way up through the ages and figure it out on their own. But and I say this, I talked about in one of my other videos how Cain and Abel, the story of Cain and Abel, I was told by a Christian who had been researching for 30 years all of this stuff, and he was a very devout Christian and a man of God. Certainly, I could tell. I could see it in his works and his actions, his movements. He knew what the fuck he was talking about. But he only knew what he knew. And we only know what we know. So he was afraid of Buddhism and that side of things because Christianity told him to be afraid of it. Me, I'm not afraid of it. I've indulged in it. I have went through it. And anybody who actually completes the Bible, see, he was a follower of Christ. There are many ways to recognize this. One thing was that during the conversation me and him had, he was working for a company. He had skills and talents. He certainly could work for himself, but he was working for another company. And he was afraid to step out on his own because he had security with that company. That's one of the differences between a follower of Christ and a man of God. A follower of Christ, you will see this with them. They will, most often, they're going to be working for somebody else, serving somebody else. A man of God he's going to figure it out on his own. Once you come into God, if you complete Revelations and go through all the trials and tribulations, it says in there that there's the followers of Christ are as far as the eye can see, but there's only, as it says, 10,000 that are, I forget how it words it, but basically brothers of Christ. They will sit in the throne with Christ and with God. Okay, so if you complete the Bible, it leads you up to becoming your own God. Buddhism does the same thing. They had to figure out all the ways of God on their own. Like, God didn't spoil them with knowledge and wisdom and prophets. They didn't have prophets of the Lord. They had their own, well, in a way they did. They had, I forget what they call the monks, the leader of the monks and stuff. They all have a leader or whatever, a head man. But anyway, so that they kind of did. So the way I see this is, okay, so I talked about Cain and Abel. Abel was the chosen child of God. Cain was the rejected child of God because he killed Abel. Well, let's not forget this is a book, and this happened ages and ages and ages ago. And God is always in control of everything, right? God is working everything and bringing everything into harmony and unison, bringing everybody together. The way I see this, God had two children, and they both were different types of children who needed raised differently. So Abel got what he wanted from God, and or needed from God, and Cain got what he needed from God. So the lineages split off there. This Christian I talked to said that Buddhism was of the teachings of Buddhism were descendants of Cain. Cain went off, and those were Cain's teachings. Now this is, when you really get in and you're looking into all the knowledge and everything, anybody who researches it and does their own research on it is going to find their own story in it, okay? This is my story, the way I see it. The Gnostic Christians, they talk about true Christianity or Christians as being the ones who experience God firsthand. Well, this is my firsthand experience with God, okay? I experienced enlightenment and awakening 2.5 years ago, and I have been on this journey ever since of trying to unfold and develop an understanding of what happened to me, because for a few months, my God, I was deeply connected to God, and I was like a chosen child of God at that time. But then I sinned. You could say I killed Abel. I didn't kill Abel. I just simply chose a woman over God. When I chose a woman over God, God rejected me. and I was cast out of the Garden of Eden. Okay. No longer a prophet of the Lord. I had to figure it out on my own. And which is natural. This is all I can explain all this in the Bible too. I've explained it in many videos how my story directly correlates with the Bible. It's both the same both stories. Buddhism, the path of Cain, and Buddhism, and all that religion that coming up through the ages, and the path of Christianity, and that one coming up through the ages, they both lead to the exact same place, God. All paths lead back to God. All paths in life, okay? And that's a teaching of Buddhism. There are an infinite number of paths you can take through the Bible. That is why everybody has their own personal understanding of the Bible. Anybody who's deeply indulged into it will find their own unique understanding of it. And it's because we all have different paths in life. We're all unique individuals. But all paths lead to the end. Revelations. That's why I say, man, Genesis and Revelations are the most important books in the Bible. One's the beginning and one's the end. And the end is just the end. It's a new beginning. That's why it says right at the end of Revelations. It's the last book in the Bible. It's the end of the Bible. But it says there is a new world that will be formed. So as soon as you complete that book, you go right back into Genesis again and start the cycle again. This is a never-ending, repeating cycle. Buddhism teaches. One reason that Christians are afraid of Buddhism, in my opinion, because they're jealous. Buddhists, you know what they done? They shunned, they banished worldly pleasure from their religion and become so completely godly individuals. They didn't used to allow women into their temples and stuff. I believe that they are starting to do that now. Allow women to become monks and whatnot. If I'm not mistaken, I feel like I saw that somewhere. Which would make absolute perfect sense. Because this is the transition of the world, of humanity. This is the evolution of spiritual evolution of humanity. Cain and Abel are coming back together. America is the chosen land, the land of God, right? Okay, well, guess what God does? God unifies things, brings things together in peace and harmony and love. Sometimes it goes through war. Sometimes you got to go through a war. You always have to go through a war to do that. Okay, instead of a physical war these days, we have a spiritual war, a spiritual battle amongst people, a battle of belief systems and thoughts and emotions, how we feel about society, how we should and shouldn't live, and this religion and that religion, So we're in a spiritual war, and people are dying from it, committing suicide, and just spiritually, emotionally, mentally, really, really, really struggling. Okay. So we're going through hard times there. We're trying to bring these two things together. Christianity is a very straight line, orderly type of religion as far as the spiritual aspect of it, the belief system of it. That's why they pound into you the Bible. They take the Bible and, the Bible is the way. It's the one and only way of living, and just you got to follow it to a T, but yet nobody can explain it to a T. Okay. So that's the ignorant side of Christianity. But here's the thing. Christians are very, very chaotic in a worldly sense. They sin. They commit all sorts of sins and worldly pleasures and stuff. They overindulge in food and sex, and they get divorced and all sorts of bullshit that's not in alignment with the Bible. Monks don't do any of that stuff. Monks are, the Bible talks about becoming eunuchs, talks about eunuchs and stuff. The Bible, the Old Testament, explains to you how to build temples. Very, very, very detailed temples out of very quality gold and metals and stuff. Well, that's exactly what the fuck the monks are doing. The monks are literally godly fucking people. I think Christians are jealous of that, for one. But you could also look at it the other way around. Maybe monks are jealous of... I don't think monks are jealous of anybody. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe that's why they're letting women in now. Things are changing these days. Maybe Christian... let me take the fucking idea of jealousy out of it, okay? You have two opposites there. Christians are, in a worldly sense, very wild and chaotic, but in a spiritual sense, they're overly straight and structured. They think they are. They are, by shoving their religion down people's throats and stuff. Okay, thinking that their way is the only way. All right, that's ignorance. So Buddhism is the opposite. On the other side, the other spectrum of things, they believe that everybody has their own way. Um, they believe in the way of Buddha, but Buddha believed in all ways, all different ways. Okay. So in a physical sense and worldly sense, the monks are completely straight and orderly and as disciplined as anybody could be, really. They do incredible, insane stuff. Um, but they are so spiritually they're very chaotic, as in the sense that they believe everybody has their own unique heart, their own unique mind, and they will have their own unique way of living. They recognize people's spiritual uniqueness. Um, I believe that, me personally, and within myself, I am bringing these two religions together in harmony because I love the disciplinary side of Buddhism, but also the worldly, pleasurable side of Christianity, being able to enjoy pleasures and shit. And that's exactly what the Bible says. That's exactly what the Bible does. It allows us to enjoy the pleasures of life while still maintaining that aspect of God. Okay? And Buddhism is the exact same way. Those people love their life. But in two opposite types of ways. So Christianity indulges in the physical world and enjoys it on a first-hand basis. The monks are kind of like observers. They enjoy their own internal worlds. They're completely at peace and harmony in their own minds and hearts. And they don't mess with nature around them. They just love it the way that it is. They don't change it, move around, and fuck with it. Okay? And I personally know people around here that are that way. I know a man up the road. He's an extremely godly man on the, as far as like more like the monk side. He's married. So he's a very balanced man. But he's a little more on the disciplinary side there. Most people around here are more on the Christian type side, but they lack the aspect of God. Most people around here lack the aspect of God because they don't understand none of it. They're just wild hooligans. Okay? Is that nothing wrong with that? Why? Why is there nothing wrong with that? Because I believe everybody has their own way. I say they're hooligans, but really and truly they are living with nature. They are living with the world. So Buddhist in a physical connected sense. Buddhism lives with the world in a spiritually connected sense, but a physically detached sense. Okay? And I could break that down further and further and further and further, but I don't want to. I'm trying to bring understanding, not confusion to people. All right. Me personally, I want to bring these two things together within myself. I want to have I'm not going to say a wife. I would call her a wife, but not legally married. I just don't do that. I don't care if I have 5 or 10 wives. 5 or 10 women around. That don't bother me. But I want to have women around. And I also want to have like a very holy sanctuary here. Okay. So I want to enjoy the worldly pleasures, children and women and stuff. But I also want to have a very clean, creative, beautiful, it won't be a temple, but it'll be my property. My house is like my temple. My body is my temple. My house is like my temple. Okay, like I clean this fucking thing. It looks rough, don't it? Let me slow y'all down here. Looks rough. I know. But let me fucking tell you something. I'll get down on my hands and knees and scrub and clean the floors. I wipe everything down. I fell back into a very dirty, nasty place of myself over the last year and a half or so, a couple of years. So after I fell, I had that enlightenment, that very big enlightenment, and I cleaned my house and kept everything immaculate. And I had this massive vision of just this beautiful. I've got a beautiful yard, a big yard. A creek runs through my property, and it's beautiful. It just sounds absolutely amazing. Has a very calming, loving, gentle sound to it when it's running. God, I love it, buddy. I love it. I love my fucking place here. Like, this place was meant for me. Okay, God brought me to this piece of property. It's right next to the road. It's actually at a forks of the road. Another road splits off here, so it's at a very central location. Uh, right here in this little holler that I live. I live up in the mountains. Okay, and I don't know. It's very open. It's very open and well lit right here where I live. Just a very beautiful place. Tons and tons and tons of potential. Um, and I've been struggling my ass off. So I fell away from God and fell back into my own darkness. I am now coming back out of my own darkness. Okay, I've talked about this in all my videos. This has been my spiritual journey, my growth and development, coming from my foundation all the way up through my stomach, my sexual organs, my stomach, my heart, my throat, my third eye chakra, and my crown. So purifying myself all the way up. All my chakra points and stuff. So instilling discipline into myself, trying to gain control of my damn mind. I was diagnosed with ADHD as a kid, so anybody's got ADHD, you understand that the mind just runs and runs and runs, okay? You got to quit trying to stop it. You just got to let it do what it does, okay? Let your mind run. Let it wear itself out, just like a child. Let it run until it wears itself out. You have to learn to work with your mind. You can't fight it. You can't forcibly control it. You have to learn to work with it. Let it do what it needs to do until you need it. And then when you need it, it should surrender to you. Your mind should surrender to you when you need it. When you don't need it, let it do what it wants to do. You don't have to stop it. I promise you, I knew an 89-year-old man. I don't think the man slept. I didn't sleep. When I was connected to God, I slept. My body rested and everything, but my mind always stayed active. This man would lay up in bed in the middle of the night, all night long, and he would tell me, I was working on this out there. He couldn't work on nothing. He was old. I done all his work for him. But in his mind, he was doing things. His mind was always engaged, okay? So if you got ADHD, man, you are probably most likely a very, very creative individual, and you have a massive amount of potential inside of you. The only way to get this thing under control, though, is you got to start at the foundation and work your way up. If you can't control your sexual urges and stuff, if you can't control your diet and your appetite, if you can't control your heart's desires, so if you want something and you just go get it, you're blowing your money here and there on dumb shit. If you don't have control, and I'm not talking about forcible control. Let me take the word control out. If you don't have understanding with all of these things, you have to understand all your chakra points and try to please them. Try to please their desires, but in a manner so that they do not have control of you. So they are not dominating and controlling you and stopping you from getting where you want to be in life, from reaching your potential. Okay? So you're going to have to instill discipline in these. I have fasted from food. I've quit porn and masturbation. I've quit, over the last year, I've quit every addiction I ever had. Drugs, so we could start with dipping. I started dipping in porn and masturbation. I started both those things when I was like 19 years old. So dipping, I quit that. I've been off that for a good long while. I don't know. So you say dipping, coffee, those are the two minor drugs. Smoking, weed, or tobacco. I kind of picked up, I've had a little bit of a smoking habit throughout my life, very little here and there, but that's something that come into it, okay. So I got rid of that as well. Weed, alcohol, TV and stuff. So I guess I don't know how, I'm still working on that. I don't know. My attachment to media, social media and stuff. Social media is an outlet for me to connect to the world. But sometimes I think it has a little control over me. So I need to still work on that one. But I've cleaned myself up, okay? I've cleaned my diet up. And when I say my diet, I don't just mean food. I mean everything that I take in. The people that I hang around has completely fucking changed. The stuff that I see on Facebook and on social media, I have changed all of that stuff. Um, I went through periods where I didn't watch anything entertaining or humorous or anything. I was just very disciplined and only spiritual knowledge type of stuff and wisdom. So only knowledgeable reading, informative reading, or memes or whatever, spiritual stuff. Um, but I've also went through periods where I just kind of went through entertainment. And I'm learning to bring those two things into balance with each other. Okay, so pleasure and order, chaos and order, pleasure and discipline or whatever. The opposite of pleasure would be discipline, lack, I don't know. Bringing all this stuff into balance, okay, with each other. Harmony with each other. So I had to divide them and separate them to get a good understanding of each, but then I'm able to bring them back into a point of balance. So after my fast, I had done a 3.5 week fast of eating clean foods. It wasn't no food, it was eating clean foods, and I did a 3-day no food fast at the end. After that, man, I indulged in lots of really good food. But, and I'm kind of still indulging in food at the point, at the moment. It's just a yes and no. I have discipline with it. I eat healthy foods, eat good foods. I'm learning to be creative with my food. That's a very important thing I have to do. So I think it's good to satisfy your belly. Okay, you got to satisfy your body, all right, with pleasures and stuff. But you got to do it in a loving, healthy manner, a good manner. So I'm learning to cook different stuff. I have learned a lot about cooking and trying new things here recently. And all this stuff, when I connected to God, God was like my high point, my highest potential. I connected to it, but then when I gave in to temptation, I fell away from God. So I used to say this a lot. It's been a long time since I said it, but God showed me my potential in life, and then kind of ripped it away from me. So now I am having to work my way back up to it one step at a time. I'm having to do it on my own accord, discipline myself, and do it the hard way. So this is the difference between Christianity, and Buddhism. Christians say, oh, Christ paid in full. I don't have to do anything to connect with God. Well, you do have to do something. You have to completely submit and surrender yourself to God. Buddhism, you completely submit and surrender yourself to yourself. There's no difference. There is no difference between God and yourself. But at the same time, there is a difference. If you don't understand it, you don't fucking understand. The only people that are really going to understand that are people who've kind of been through the experience of it, okay? So, like I said, the followers of Christ are as far as the eye can see. Most people, it's just an excuse for them. Most Christians never complete the actual process of the Bible. I guess they do. They just do it in their own way. They're followers of Christ, and they come into God through love and surrender to God, to Christianity, to Christ, to the Bible, to the Word of the Bible or whatever. Most of them don't even know the Bible as well as I do. I promise you they don't. But it's through acceptance, accepting themselves for who they are. So it's the same thing. It is the same thing. They're finding balance between self-discipline and pleasure. And they accept themselves. So I'm doing the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Buddhism is the same thing. You discipline yourself, but you also get to know who you are. You allow pleasures into yourself, into your heart, into your mind. I can enjoy the simplest of fucking pleasures in life, and they're very fulfilling to me. And I'm talking about, just sitting by the creek, enjoying the sound of nature and stuff. That's wonderful. But I also like going out here and enjoying physical, worldly pleasures as well as in eating food and sex and drugs and rock and roll. Hey, I've enjoyed all that shit throughout life, okay? You got to be careful because you can get addicted to stuff. If you're addicted to shit, that's not good. You're not healthy. You're not wholesome. So you got to be careful there. But I believe what I see happening in our country, Buddhism is coming in here. We're bringing worldly creativity into this country in the manner of buildings, building things, creating things. Our structures used to be very straight line and plain and ordinary, square structures and shit. But now we're bringing creativity in that stuff. We're bringing artwork into our structures, or our homes, and we're getting very, very creative with how we do things. We have all the fucking houses we need. We have everything we need. We have a foundation set, solid foundation. Um, and that is what is going to, that's what is allowing us to develop our minds more and more, to become more and more creative with our minds, with our works, with our hands and stuff, and the things we do. And this is one reason people are sick and tired of busting their ass doing that old fashioned way of hard work. People are tired of that shit. We're bored of it. We don't need to do it anymore. The world does not need it. This country does not need it. What we need is beautiful artwork, creativity. We need to bring balance in. Okay, we have a foundation built. We're moving up to the next stage now. Okay, and that one single thing right there ties into everything that is going on in the country. Feminism and men and women getting divorced and all the struggles and issues and things that have developed in our country is because chaos come in and told us, it said, hey, it's fucking time to let go of those old ways. We have all that stuff established. We don't need to keep fucking beating a dead horse. It's time to move on to something different, something creative, more beautiful, something better. Okay, that's what we're supposed to do, is grow bigger and bigger and branch out, spread our branches out so that develop more leaves, more blossoms and flowers and shit, more beauty. Okay, so this is where the gay community and LGBTQ, all that corrupted, twisted shit, that's where all it comes from. I don't agree with that stuff, but at the same time, it's like, me personally, I don't agree. I don't. Can't say I fit in with that. I'm not against them. It depends on how they are. If they're like I don't like anybody shoving their fucking belief system down somebody else's throat. So those fucking idiots that are doing that, I don't like them. But there are people that are just normal, that are feminist or transgender or whatever. There are weird, different types of people out there. They're just normal fucking people. They have good hearts, good ways and stuff. Okay. Now I can deal with that. I'm okay with that. Let me tell you what I personally noticed. I never in my life have seen so many fucking colors in the sky as I have in these recent years here. Like when I was a kid, I remember the sky just used to be fucking blue. It was either blue or your clouds were white and stuff. Man, I have seen so many fucking colors. Like you used to see rainbows. Okay, you'd see a rainbow, an arc. But now I see random fucking colors all in the sky at random points, just spots of them. So this is a change in the entire world. That is evidence, visual evidence of the spiritual evolution and growth of the world. Things that we're going through. Okay. The mixing together of chaos and order. So before, they used to be very well divided. They had the rainbow there. It was very well established, kind of had borders almost, not solid borders, but it had borders. Okay, well now the colors of the rainbow are kind of floating freely and wildly out there. Okay, kind of like gay people and transgender and all that stuff that comes from feminism. So I've had a hatred in my heart towards all that stuff, and I do, just like I do towards Christianity, because there's a corrupted side in it. There's a corrupted side in everything. When you start shoving your fucking belief system down shit people's throats, I don't like that. I just don't like that. I will give back to you what you're giving out to the world. Okay, I very much believe in the golden rule: do to others as you want them to do unto you. So if you're being an asshole and shitty towards other people, or if somebody's being an asshole and shitty towards me, I'm probably going to throw that shit right back at you. Okay. If you're shoving your bullshit belief system down my throat, I'll fucking beat you out. I promise you, I'll beat you out with my own belief system. I'm an extremely open-minded person. And in a debate, in an argument or something, it's going to be very, very hard pressed to beat me out. You're really going to have to know your shit. God would have to be on your side. And if he is, I'll listen. I'll listen. I'll hear what you're saying. I promise you, I listen to God, buddy. I listen to every conversation and every word, every sound, every noise, everything, buddy. I listen to it all. I sit here in silence. I listen to my own thoughts. I listen to the noises and the things around me. Okay, so I understand Buddhism. I've spent, oh God, an immense amount of time in my life, throughout my life, alone. Alone. Just alone, without my parents, without my siblings. I moved to Alabama when I was 12, away from all my family. I had friends and stuff down there, but my father was an alcoholic. I didn't speak to my stepmother. We didn't have a close, good connection. I spent a lot of my time in the woods or sitting around a fire. As a teenager, I used to build fires every single night and just sit there. So throughout my life, that's how I've always been. Um, so I understand the path of Buddhism, but at the same time, I was also kind of Dad's favorite. So I was a chosen one between me and my brother, as far as that goes. So I received a lot of spiritual. My dad was an alcoholic, but he's a very spiritually wise and open-minded man. I love my father to death. Okay, I went through a lot of videos talking shit about my mother, my father, my raising and stuff, and all that stuff is true. But there's also another side of it. There's a goddamn beautiful, wonderful side of it. Wonderful things that I learned from my mother and my father. My mother is physically absent, but she was alive. She was physically present in the world, and I watched her and everything she done throughout life, and I've learned from her good and bad things. So wonderful and beautiful things as well as bad things. And you have to go through your own trauma. You have to go through the trauma of your past, the trauma that your parents put you through. You have to go through that because that is your birthing process. That is the labor pains, the trials and tribulations of revelations that births you out into a new man of God, out into the new world as a man of God, a son of God, just as Christ, he was son of God and son of man. Okay, I am son of man and son of God. I'm both. I'm both. I'm God. I'm a little God. Running around terrorizing everybody, man, with my knowledge, my wisdom, my belief systems and shit. People can't stand it. Uh, hey, that's all right. I don't care. I love it, man. I love it. I love what I do, who I am. I love myself. To be a man or woman of God, you have got to learn. You have to love yourself. You have to raise yourself. That's what happened after I fell away from God. I had to teach myself everything. I had to reteach myself everything that I already knew. But I had to learn to deal with my emotions, my crazy ass mental thoughts and stuff, and my desires in my heart, and my chaotic food and eating habits and drug habits. I had to learn to treat all of these parts of me as individual parts, just like little children, and raise them up. But here's the thing, they're not clean, innocent children. They were dirty, nasty, filthy children who needed a shit ton of work, with discipline instilled into them, as well as gentle, loving care. So a very fine balance there of bringing myself through this process and out into the light. Okay. So I don't know. I'm hoping to pick up on some followers and people and stuff here and get connected with people. Just ate a bowl of cereal. I'm thirsty as shit, man. Been really thirsty lately. It's been a long time since I drank water, and I've recently began to pick up on drinking water. So as I've been going through all this whole process, there is constant change inside of me as well as outside of me, around me. Okay. So when I was going through my heart, I talked about how I had issues with electronics. Okay, and my phone would do weird, crazy shit. My damn radio in the truck would do weird shit. Stereo and stuff. Like my phone randomly one day, two different times in one day, started recording me. So that stuff has kind of settled down. It's kind of quit. I made it through my heart, and now I'm getting on up into my voice, my throat chakra. And what I see happening around me, wow, I've noticed so much shit happening already. Go to YouTube. I'm going to share this video will be on YouTube. I'm going to post this on Facebook too. On YouTube, I'm Colton Lewis. COLTENLEWIS 7414. And you can watch all my videos if you want, or watch the newer ones, or whatever. I got lots and lots of videos, okay? I'm going to keep making them. Eventually, we'll want to look into getting into podcast and maybe just doing 1 or 2 videos a week, okay? Right now, I've been, God, for the last 2 months, or month and a half at least, over a month and a half. I started making videos the first Saturday of January. That's when I made my first video. Now, there's a few days or so went by before I made another one. But then I really started making them every single day. So I've got 50 videos out there on so far. And every single one of them, if you're interested, if you're in a bad fucking place in life, you're struggling your ass off for something, can't get your shit together, if you want to know how to get your shit together, go back and watch the very first video. Go back and watch all my fucking videos. And you will see a lot of confusing, chaotic, crazy shit. A lot of times I talk about stuff that I don't like to talk about that's very uncomfortable. Things I carried around with me throughout my entire life. Thoughts and feelings and desires and stuff inside of me. Okay. I had to bring all that stuff out of me, out into the open, to be a testimony, for one, a testimony to God, or to the truth of life. See, I carried that shit around with me inside of me. If I would have just left it in there and took it to my deathbed, I would have never bring the truth of myself and who I am. I would have never brung it out into the world. But I did. You have to bring it out into the world. This is part of the birthing process. You have to bring yourself out into the world. That is what will make you a man or woman of God. So that means all your corruption and evil and darkness and weird, twisted, crazy shit. I talk about lots of embarrassing, fucked up stuff. Okay. How I got my damn teeth knocked out. Yeah. I mean, because I talked about all that stuff, that allows me to be free and happy and loving, and to make fun of myself and not give a shit, to talk to y'all with no fucking teeth and be okay with it. I don't know, people still judge me for it. Yes, they do. People judge me because I don't have no teeth, and because I live in a lot of my videos have backgrounds to them that aren't the prettiest. Looks like I live in some kind of trash or some shit, But that's not true at all. That's a false appearance that they are seeing in me. Really and truly, it's a reflection of them and who they are on the inside. They have an ugly, dark heart and a dark mind, and so they see no teeth, and they see shit like that that's not finished. This rough-looking house that I live in, or trailer. And they judge me and see me to be ignorant or fucking stupid or whatever. Okay? That's all right. I don't give a fuck, because I know better than that. I am a fucking highly intelligent son of a bitch. Okay? I was tested as a kid. My IQ is above average. Pretty well above, I forget what it was, but it was well above average. Okay? I'm extremely creative. I've got a massive fucking heart. I have the ability to see inside of people, whether they got good hearts or bad hearts. What's going on with people. I have this ability. You have to have that ability. That's what allows you to move through life and protect yourself. If you don't have the ability to recognize a good or bad person, then you get yourself in with the wrong people, and you can really fuck yourself up bad. A lot of people don't understand that stuff, man. They think life's a joke, and they just run through it ignorantly and carelessly, and then they're always getting hurt or something, and they just don't understand why. It's because they're not fucking paying attention to what's going on. They're completely ignorant to the energy that's around them. Your heart is what picks up on the energy. You get a feeling for things. But they're also blind in here. Their mind is fucking blind, so they're not noticing and picking up on all the tiny little details that people exhibit. with their words, their movements, their actions, the way they look and dress and care for themselves, their body. And see, I know people who I know a man in Alabama walks around. He looks dirty all the time. Like if you don't have the ability to actually see the truth and see deep into it, he looks dirty. He's a mechanic. His hands are always dirty. His shirts are always they're stained. Okay, I'm not going to say dirty because he is about as clean a fucking man as I know. His heart and soul is fucking spiffy clean, buddy. All right, and he's got a very clear mind. He is a very godly man. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't have any darkness or corruption or stuff in there. Sure, I think everybody does. Everybody does. The soul has darkness in it, just like the universe, the life. Life has darkness in it. That's okay. Don't leave something in the darkness. I say don't leave something in the darkness permanently. I don't know. Caves. We have caves in life. Everybody has caves in their own heart. There are places in there that you've never been, you've never found yet. I think you could search your heart and your soul and your mind forever and ever, and you'll never find all of it until you die and return completely unto God or something. Okay, I don't know. Can't explain that one to you just yet. So there are mysteries. There are always mysteries inside yourself and in the world around you. And that's what, Revelations talks about. You master mystery. Mystery, the mother of Babylon, the final battle in Revelations. The mother of all of fornication and whoredom, the one that causes all the 10 kings to fall. Okay? To give in to temptation and fall. So I'll think about that. That's a beautiful woman right there. I like my old gal there. She's on my side forever and ever. Till I die, till my body dies off. She's in my soul. She's in my spirit, in my heart. She's always there. I got my woman back with me. I took my rib back. I'm a wholesome man here. So that's about all I got for you. I'm gonna get off here and drink some fucking water and might eat another damn bowl of cereal. And looking for some work. Hopefully some work comes to me here soon. I need some damn work, buddy. It's kind of drying up on me. So that's all right though. If it dries up, let it dry up. It'll rain again. Y'all take care. I love you. Be good. West Virginia fucking hillbilly here.